Should set that up for the rest of that. Mm-hmm. There we go. See how that goes. Huh. Hello. Oh, that is fun. Interesting. Interesting. So if anyone saw, I got this Reggae fetter in the other day, and I got it with the Italian style schilt, which is different from the style I usually have. And it has a much more dynamic, or I suppose active, effect on the binds that result. This being one of them. So one of the points of pairing lugs is that they make you safer, which of course, right? But the way in which they make you safer is that they serve as a secondary crossguard out ahead. People will often say, you know, like they're so that you can grip the sword further up. You know, you can get like a choked up grip like this and be safe. And sure, you can do that. That's an option. It will give you, you know, some amount of protection for your lead hand. But what it does as well, if I can get this over here, is that it allows you to get bind interactions. Let's see if I can find a good angle for this. I suppose I need to be more over here. Yeah, okay, here we go. So you can see the bind happens out here instead of back here. And it's not a huge difference if you look at it like this, but it means that a thrust will be that much higher up. So you basically, it binds, let's see, if that's boom my head. I'm safe now, see? Doesn't hit my head, does hit my head. So you see the difference. Headshot, no headshot. Or headshot, headshot, no headshot. So that's one of the big passive benefits you get from having lugs up on the blade. It's just, it clears their point. It gives you a greater margin of error for clearing their point. The flip side of that is that it can potentially cost you certain entrapments that you would otherwise get because they are shorter, so you don't necessarily get the ability to trap the blade like you do with the cross. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, depending on like when it's actually like going at speed, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm gonna try it out once I actually get a chance to spar with this, because like that, it's bouncing and skipping. So that's something to just see if it you know, it's different from what I'm used to getting. But ideally, it'll catch there, and then it'll like. I'm hoping what I'll find that at speed is that it'll kind of like hit, and maybe if it does skip, it'll skip down into the cross, and I still get the entrapment like I normally would. But we'll see. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But it's fun. Yes, I have been waffled. Yes. How many beans is too many beans for an actual sword? And again, when it comes to this kind of thing, I think Reggae is the gold standard. That can be had stateside for like, what was it, 340? This is kind of your gold standard. This is where like you aren't compromising on function at all. You are compromising on finish. You know, like it's not the prettiest thing. I don't know if you can see, but like there's just kind of a rough, it's kind of rough through there. They just kind of grind it out. And you don't get any like extra fancy features or anything like that. But it'll work great. So this is the gold standard. And then anything you're paying in addition to that is going to be for quality of life type stuff. Like Siggies are more expensive, but you get the benefit that they will actually peen the crossguard to the blade. This is relying on the fit between the blade and the handle to not, and itself, not rattle around. But eventually it's going to loosen up at some point and it's going to start to rattle. The Siggy is never going to do that because it's literally peened to the blade. So until those peens give, which will take some serious work, it's not going to rattle. So as far as how much is too much, it's kind of hard. I think anything much past 500 is I don't really know what you're paying for at that point. Because like Malices can often push into that 500 range, and they are beautifully handling swords. But at that point, you're paying for something that's like really nice, and that right on that cusp, because they are like some of the best performing swords I've ever handled, and they're great. They're a delight to use. They are the upper limit of what I would consider ever spending on a sword that you're going to like spar or get smashed up with. Obviously, you could spend more than that. There are ways to spend more than that. I don't know why you would, and it would potentially be worth the money in a sense, because you'd be paying oftentimes for like luxuries. But again, I don't see the point in making a really nice sword that you're going to use for sparring and just absolutely demolish, over a few years. Like, why would I spend buku bucks on a sword that's just going to end up looking like that after a while? I don't know. It's different if you're buying maybe a sharp or something that you're not going to be putting through the ringer. Then sure, spring for it. But when it comes to a training implement, I don't see the point in paying for something that nice. Yeah, I'd say about 500 would be the upper limit of professional grade like performance, and beyond that. And even then, it's a little indulgent at that price point, because so I'm switching swords here. So this is the Malleus, my Malleus. I think this thing's right somewhere between. I need to check what it is. This thing is something between 4 and 5. But it has this beautiful distal taper. None of this is going to come through on the screen, but I can assure you, if you actually put it in your hand and you start to move it around, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing feels incredible. Yeah, at this point, the issue you run into is that when you get a sword that handles this nicely, it's because it's not being built for punishment anymore. It is being built for performance. And that's not to say that Malice makes fragile swords, but it's a very different beast comparing this like Regenier, which is built to withstand hundreds of hours of just clubbing it into things, versus that Malice, which is really meant to be a precision tool at that point. They're just, I mean, I think even on the camera you can see, especially if I get down towards the ends here, I think you can tell the difference there in blade thickness. So that's just one of the considerations. It kind of follows that like the nicer it is to use, oftentimes the more fragile it is in the long run. Which is why I have different rapiers. I have this one for when I want to actually like have something that responds really well, and then I've got other ones that are more bruisers. And then you switch between them. Do I do any steel? And I do steel. I don't do steel axe. So I mostly work from medieval and then early, well, not early, early, not early Renaissance, Renaissance and early modern. There we go. That's the word combination I'm looking for. Through medieval and early modern, medieval to early modern German sources is what I tend to focus on. Within that, you will end up kind of working through. Longsword is the premier weapon of that that scope there. That is the basis for which they teach, from which pretty much all these different fencing masters would teach their art, with a couple exceptions. Like Lecoukner is like 100%, like he leads in with the messer. He's a messer guy. But that's a good segue. Longsword messer is longsword's the base, used as the basis of teaching fencing. The messer was used as the basis of teaching fencing in one, of the sword in one hand, and then turn that toward the Renaissance into the early modern. You get Dussac, which is essentially the evolution from there. So messer interchangeable with Dussac at that point. Another feature, of course, is the quarterstaff, which is the basis for using polearms. And of course, there is practicing with the dagger. This is my cold steel practice dagger, which I have recently built a sheath for, which is fun. I like that. It's a fun little sheath. It's hard to actually keep these things on you because they're kind of a weird shape, because you have that ball end and then it's triangular. So it doesn't behave great with a lot of things. But I have made a handy dandy little sheath for it where it doesn't fall out for any reason. I like it. Yeah, I think it'll translate pretty well. Meyer's rapier, at least, is a lot of it's like Messer plus, or Dussac plus, if you will. It's rooted in all those Dussac plays, with the addition of a lot of fancy schmancy thrust oriented fencing. Upward. Let's see here. Question, sword aside question, on swords such as Dussacs and butterfly swords, there's always an upwards hook on the reverse edge of the sword. I want to ask why is the short edge side? Why is the I'm trying to. I think what you're asking here is why when it hooks is it always on the false edge side? Mainly because the lead edge side is your saber facing, right? You've got your curved leading edge, and that's what you're doing most of your work with. So in the butterfly sword case, no, wait. Hook. I was thinking hook sword. Yes. In the butterfly, yep. So leading saber edge face, that's your business end. That's where you do all your cutty stuff, and then you might try to capitalize on the fact that you have a curved blade, and obviously the lower portion of that blade isn't so great for the cutting, but you do still have that curved section which you can use to wrap around stuff, so it can be of value to sharpen a portion of that back edge just so that you have the option to get those hooked shots into and past guards and just really kind of whip it through. Or in Meyer's case, he advises sometimes just completely flipping the thing around and cutting through with the back edge like that. And also having a sharpened false edge on the back can also help with the thrust, because if you have two sharp edges going in, it'll penetrate more easily than one sharp edge and one blunt edge into the target. Short edge, false edge, both are fine. Are scabbards really as hard to make as the sword? That's a fun one. I think it depends on hard. I think now, speaking like modern now, I think if the pricing's anything to go off of, it can be as similarly labor intensive. But I would say historically less so. we have the benefits of all these modern machines to really bang out a bunch of swords. You can. I think Virginia might just CNC a lot of their blades. So modern production makes it very easy, but fitting a scabbard's always a fussy thing. So it takes a lot of. If you want a good scabbard, it takes a lot of fine tuning and fussing with it. I like this thing. This is fun. Hello, hello. Oh, have fun with the new Spez jacket. Those things are rough to break in. What's the longest sword I would consider using for personal dueling? It depends on, am I dueling or am I sparring? Because that's a big question. If I get to like have my choice of blades, I'd be willing to take a blade like up to here. But this is very unkind to anybody you're sparring with, so I would not do that. This is kind of on the upper limit of what I would use in a sparring context. Anything much bigger than this, and it starts to get very mean. There's a lot of oomph you can put behind that. Yeah. I've always gravitated towards shorter fetters. This is the longest fetter I own. I think, and at one point, when I settled on my Siggy, I actually was sent two. I was sent a regular and a shorty, and I did not like the regular. I tried it. I didn't like it. I thought I just didn't like it. That famous Siggy flex on the standard was just, it was so, you would like cut with it and you'd feel the blade kind of wobbling in the cut. I didn't like it. But I found that the shorty felt fine, of course. And I also passed it around in the club, and that was kind of the general consensus, is that we didn't really like the Siggy standard very much. We liked the Siggy shorty in the handling department. And I've been doing this for a while. At one point, I don't know when, Regaigne standards felt different to me. We got a club order in for loaners, and I played around with some of them. And I was like, wow, this feels way nicer than I remember. I don't know if they tweaked them at some point. I just didn't know, because we have some like Gen 1 Regaignes still in the club. We have some really old ones. So at some point, they did something to tweak the handling of these, and they feel way better than they used to. So I was so impressed by those club loaners. I was like, I'll take one too. Why not? The spatulated tip, I mean, the Siggies also have the spatulated tips. So that, I don't think that's, I think the spatulated tip is a factor in how it handles. I don't think that was the deciding factor between why the shorty and the regular felt like they did. Why am I not a part of MinMax? I wasn't asked. Although, to be fair, that's not to knock anyone at MinMaxed. I have been asked on other occasions if I want to separately by people, individually, for other kind of like collaborations, and it's just, this is not my full-time gig. I have a day job, and I have a family, and it is difficult for me to get away from that for stuff. So, if they had asked me, I don't know if I'd have been able to do it in person. Maybe like a web call kind of thing I could maybe do, but I don't know. Oh, of the Quillon. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Why is there an upwards curve on the reverse side of the Quillon on or Quillon on Dus X and Butterfly. Why usually on the reverse? So I wish I had one out with me to illustrate my point. I guess I can illustrate why you would want one with this. Okay, so let's pretend for a moment that this is a saber of some sort of single-edged, curved-bladed sword. We have this big old crossguard. If I want to sit here and do fancy schmancy twirly-whirly stuff, you see what's happening? Owie. Ow. I'm so used to using a crossguard that this isn't actually, I'm like naturally turning it out of the way. But you get the point, is the crossguard will bang you. It'll just boom, right there. So what do? You take it and you curve it, whoop, up. And now you have more leeway to move the sword back. The other added benefit of curling it up is not only does it get it out of the way of your wrist, it also becomes a trap. So that if something were to fall into it, there we go, pretend crossguard, something can, whoop, you can catch stuff in it more effectively than just with the cross. But I like having a crossguard. I like having a long crossguard. I specifically ordered a longer crossguard because I like the protection it offers. That's what you lose. In curling it upward, you gain a better trap, you clear it from your wrist, and in clearing it from your wrist, you expose more of your wrist. I like a long crossguard because it projects out over my arm and it'll take shots for me that otherwise could get through. It's all about angles. People look at the crossguards like, how do crossguards protect you at all? They protect you a lot more than you would think. You have to always think about the angles. I love crossguards. I love them. So, you know, a shot like, I can be holding my sword like this, right? I've got my crossguard. Someone cuts for my forearm right here. Boom. Hits the cross. Pa. It hits the cross. It shunts down. I've got it. I can do stuff from there. If I don't, well, boom. So that's the trade-off, right? You could catch it better. You might miss. You could maybe catch blades with it when you thrust, but with a saber, you're not often going to get a wind that uses the back. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of any time I've used, without doing some funky German thing, I'm trying to think of any scenarios where I actually wind. Yeah, because you're pretty much always winding your long edge with saber types that you're kind of going like that. I suppose if I was trying to hook. Okay, yeah, I guess if I was trying to hook the cut in, that might be useful. So yeah, maybe in that case. But it's I don't know how often I would actually end up being able to actually catch it on a thrust. Now it changes, the equation changes when the reason why I exempted funky German stuff is because with funky German stuff, you often hold the sword kind of sideways. So when you're using the sword sideways, yeah, you end up with a lot of these kind of binds because it just kind of follows that you're going to get that. But I mean, I think I was out of frame for that. So, you know, sword, if I'm here, I would maybe do that. And then if I was holding like this, I'd turn it there. But as soon as I start holding it crooked like this, it starts to become a matter of turning it like so. And then you start to actually use the back quill on a lot more. How old was I? How old was I when I started fencing? I was older than 20. I was at least 21. Let's say, yeah, I'm going to say I was at least 21. You love my size. What is it? This is the Malleus Martialis Meyer Rapier. It's the new one. The new one. You can tell it's the new one because it has a different knucklebow, which is, I think, a lot better than the old one. The old one was thicker, and it kind of like came in a lot more aggressively through here. So fitting gloves, I never had it, but I never bought it because I looked at it and I said, there's no way I'm fitting a heavier glove in there. That's not happening. So I skipped it. I never bought it. But then Malleus was like, hey, look, we did this. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Don't you want to use this? I'm like, yeah, I do. I do want to use that. Give it to me. Give me. I want to play with it. So I love it, actually. I love this. Oh, this relates to, what is your favorite sword to spar with? So I'm a longsword boy at heart. I'm a longsword boy. That said, this thing's really fun. I have fallen in love with this thing. Like I was saying way earlier on in the stream, Malleus they make swords that just handle like a dream. They handle like I've used the Tedesca too. It's so good. They make some lovely swords. Oh, they feel so good to use. Oh, can I do the fun one? The like, Myers this like triple feint, which is it's ridiculous to me. I don't know if I'd ever pull it off, because you go, how's it go? You go 1 here, 2 here, 3 to the floor. So you start high, well, so you go high, pull it to ox, mid, here, all the way to the floor. And trying to sell that on somebody and not get hit in the process. You have to feint at them twice, 2 feints before you get to what you want. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask. Do my neighbors question me? No. No, they do not. One of them built a fence though. But that was basically immediately when I think they actually built the fence because of my dog. Because they have a dog, I have a dog. I think they built the fence to block the dogs, because they built that pretty immediately. So I don't think that was in response to anything I was doing. I'm still interested in playing with this. I cut a leaf. I have, what is she? She's like a Pit Bull Staffordshire? Pit Bull Stafford mix? Something like that. Does the dog do HEMA? Maybe. Are axes and halberds allowed and used in HEMA? Yes. But because they are polearms, that comes with them certain challenges. And they are not they're not easy to work with as far as using them in a safe capacity, because in order to make them the problem that arises essentially, if I can, is that to make a polearm you need a pole. And what is a pole if not a quarterstaff? And what is a quarterstaff? A weapon. You see the problem? Just a long stick inherently is a weapon. Steel, yes, but you can make a steel blade. The main ouchy part of a blade is the edge. It's the fact that it can cut things. So they don't need as much wallop behind them. You can make them in a way that pulls a lot of their danger, not all of their danger. We still wear padding and helmets and all that stuff, but you can make them in a way that pulls away a lot of that lethality and remove it from the sword in a way that you can't do with a polearm, because you still have a big pole. And as soon as you put a head on the end of that pole, you increase the danger further. So you can either have a really authentically feeling polearm that's dangerous to use, or you make some serious compromises which make the act of using the polearm less authentic, or you go the Buhurt route and you cover yourself in steel, which presents its own problems because you can't really, you're now doing armored stuff, and it's a different thing. So yes, you'll find polearm work in HEMA. It is not common because of the logistical challenges of doing so safely. Yes, this is the one I got engraved. Here we go. It does look really pretty with that lighting, though. That's cute. I don't know. I was really hoping it'd end up down here, not up there, like this. But whatever. Do I own a brigantine? A brigantine or a brigandine? I don't own either. I would like both. A brigantine, a ship, a brigantine ship, a brigandine armor. How much do I spend? I think I spent on all the armor and weapons. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm going over here now, so I don't have to answer that. At least $2. I'll say that. Oh, I can at least $340 because that's what I spent on this. Yeah, elbows still. It's not great. I'm wearing the arm brace because that's what lets me do any of this at all. I learned very quickly. I'm better than I was. I can fence now. I don't think I'm going to be doing any tournaments anytime soon. I do not think I've got that in me right now. Already, just over the course of this stream, how long has this been? 32 minutes. I haven't even been doing much, right? I mean, some of you have been here the whole time. I've not been doing a whole lot. I can already feel it's a little inflamed. So that really limits my options. I can get through class. Long swords are easier. Long swords are a lot easier on me because I have two hands. It weighs like 3 pounds. I have two hands on it. It does not tax me to use it. I can sit here. I can get through a whole class just fine. I can get some sparring in afterward. It doesn't bother me that much. The rapier is a different problem. That's it's where it really starts to kill me is when I have to get like here. This starts to really, ooh, it's not fun. I have done full armor on occasion. It's not something I do a lot of. I don't have a harness that I particularly like for it. I've got my medieval harness has some safety concerns. The helmet's not ideal. And my 16th century armor uses that HEMA mask overlay, which has some limitations as well because it's still a mask for the face. So I can get hit on the noggin with it's again the polearm issue is when you do a lot of harness stuff or when you are doing harness stuff, that is basically the time where you can do polearm stuff the best because you're now armored enough to take hits from more realistic simulators. The problem is that overlay is an overlay on a fencing mask. So while the head can start to take those hits, the face cannot take those hits. So it really limits what I can do. And that's fine for its design. Its design purpose was not to do full harness, but to do half harness where emulating that later period stuff where they're not wearing head to toe armor, they're wearing half plate, they're fighting with pikes, they're fighting with rapiers or whatever else, catsboggers if you want, and that's kind of what that armor is meant for. So that in that context it works great, but if you want to do the full armor stuff, it comes up a little short. I'm in the process of trying to source something a little bit more so I can do that stuff more, but even then that's not really what interests me at this point in my my fencing. I find the half plate more interesting than the full plate. My lovely assistant is I think she's inside now. I will probably touch on Warframe a bit more. I have one video I really want to do talking about orc and weapon design. just because I find it interesting. It's a cool intersection of where the setting supports doing stupid stuff. That's always I always try to weigh the context of the setting, because if all we cared about was doing the most practical thing, then we wouldn't have. I was going to incorporate the meme, engravings give no tactical advantage, except that they kind of do, because that's a whole other subject. If you're a nobleman and stuff, then it kind of does. But I digress. I have played Chivalry 1 and 2. I don't play them much, though, because I find when it comes to games that are basically like, guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to be sword fighting. Are you doing anything else? No. You're just sword fighting. Those kind of games, I'm like, then I'll just go sword fight. I like to play video games to do things that I can't go do. So I find actually fencing with steel far more gratifying than video game fencing with steel, digital steel. Now, that's not to say I don't like playing games that have. I enjoy Kingdom Come Deliverance too, because it's more than just sword fighting. I like the RPG aspect, because that's something I don't get to do all the time, right? I can go to a Ren Fair, I could go to a reenactment, and I can scratch maybe that itch that way. But that's not something I have access to on the day-to-day, like I do with fencing. I get a fence every week. That scratches the itch. I don't need to play a game about it. Yeah. I know there's a bit of. I also have a bow, so cavalry is the only thing I'm missing, I suppose. In the Netherlands, no, I'm afraid I'm not familiar with any. Was Zweihander kind of heavy a bit if swing and more pivot control and range? I have a longbow. It's not a full war weight or anything. I am not that guy. It's just like a 50-pound longbow. I think I've drawn up to like 75 or something before. That was pretty fun. I've never really tried to shoot very heavy or anything. I'm a sword guy first. Archery is something I have done for funsies. I did really well in my archery course in college. I won like a little mini tournament, and that was fun. I've always enjoyed archery. I find it very meditative. It's very meditative. I am losing my light. Someone was asking about here. Let me relocate into something with a bit more light. There we go. So this is not a Montante. It looks kind of like a Montante, a Zweihander. It looks a bit like a Zweihander, doesn't it? It's not, because it's far too short. A Zweihander, you're looking at something like more like that, starting at. Right? Well, I usually think of longswords as being anywhere from like here-ish to about here, and then once you start getting past that, then you start getting to the two-hander, and you might have one all the way up to like here. Those ones are huge. So that's one of the things to bear in mind, is that when you're talking about a Zweihander, that could be talking about two very distinct swords. A sword that is this big and a sword that is this big are going to handle very differently. All that said, with that in mind, when it comes to the weight of it and managing the weight of it, get that there. Yeah, there is a certain amount of like controlling the pivot of it. I'm trying to not hit my tree. So you don't have the same luxury of stopping it very easily, because the mass, it's not that the sword is that heavy, it's more to do with how far out the mass goes and how much momentum you put into it, right? If you go like whoosh, it wants to keep going. So when you do that with a really big sword, it's going to start to pull on you, and you're going to kind of like follow with it. So you have to do something to control the momentum of it, because you can't, it's not very energy efficient of you to try to stop with it. You have to kind of flow it into something more. So you see when they want to stop it, they'll kind of like bleed off, they bleed off the speed somehow, either by like sweeping it up or doing some sort of action that kills the speed and regains control over it. So as far as the pivoting, yes, the pivoting with it is an important aspect of it. It's how you kind of maintain control over the big sword that wants to pull you around. I keep thinking about it. I need to take my musket out. I've been sitting on this musket for so long. I've never done anything with it. I've shot muskets before. I have never shot my musket. I've owned my musket for years. I have yet to shoot it. I don't know why. I'd be interested in getting historical garb from any other places in the world. I would love, I'm trying to think, what would I like? Other places. That's a tricky one. I'm trying to think of anything that's really done it for me. I'll think about that one, actually. I can't think of anything like immediately off the top of my head. Yes, I played the first Kingdom Come. Oh, to a rage room, not a range, a rage room. No, actually, I've never even thought of that. Maybe I should. It is getting dark. I might move this inside. Any recommendations for sparring messers? Yes. Launch Connect Emporium makes really good ones. Have I ever stabbed someone with that? No, it's brand new. I got it like 2 days ago. 2 days ago or 1 day ago? 2 days. It came in Thursday. Yeah, I just got this, so no. Yeah, I'm gonna move things inside. We'll go do that. Let me grab my pretty sword here. And I'll come back for the stand later. We'll go inside for now. Hey, yep. Up we go. We're going inside. Passed into my. I don't know. Have I shown that? Look at I love our little deck area here. I'm just gonna get that door open. Okay. There she is. There's my lovely wife. Hello. Ooh, okay. We're in. We're here now. And we're back. Once I put things places. Okay. I can show sharpness really easily. You ready for the sharpness? It's not. It's not sharp. It's not sharp. I can show you the sharp of something else though. Here we go. Here. You want to see something sharp? I'll show you something sharp. Let me get. Yeah, that works. Oh no. Robert Bobbington. A little bit of this, a bit of that. Here. Something. If I can get the edge to not fold at first. Yeah, there you go, sharp. I'll cut a little square off just for you. Yeah. Oh, but put that back where it goes. Yeah, I like swords. Do I know how many swords I own? Probably like at least 30. Do you have any idea how many swords I counted last time?
It was 30 something?
Yeah, something like 30 something. What was the question? The most modern gun I own is the one that's on the wall. 1717 is modern. That's considered modern. Yes. If you can hear another voice, that's her. Have I ever had a sword fall apart on me during sparring? I've had a sword blade break before, but that's all that's happened. Wait, hold on. I've had a guard break. I've had a, where is it? Yeah, this sword had a break. This used to have a knuckle. It used to have a. There you go. Replacement. The original. That broke. That was probably the most significant break I've ever had. Oh, thank you, John. The bill hook, I don't want to go through the fuss of getting it down, but I will take you up to go see it. How about that? And you see my end. So the bill hook's cool and all, right? But that halberd is an original. So that's a 460 something year old halberd over there. Yeah, I like Warhammer Fantasy. I never really got into the Warhammer Fantasy that much. I consume some of the books. I enjoy some of the designs. I've played Vermintide, but I've never really gotten into it. What's the golden picture with the writing? Oh yes, more originals. More originals. Here we go. So, someone here? You're back already? Oh. There are people here. All right. So here is my two, I think these are from different books, but these are also from the 16th century. These are basically contemporary to the halberd. They are from a war book, a Kriegsbook, pages from a Kriegsbook. The prints are made by Josteman, who is an artist. I am quite fond of his works. I have a book of stuff he has done somewhere in here, maybe. Ah, here we are. So, like this. This is a reprint. That is an original print. Of course, that was the Book of Trades, not the Book of War, but. Yeah, when I told myself, I was like, whenever I own a home, whenever I have a home of my own, I'm doing this. The scene in Addams Family Values, when the the banker or the realtor or whomever comes in, and he walks into Gomez's study, and Gomez throws him a sword, and he's on guard, and they sword fight. That study like imprinted itself in my brain, and I was like, I'm back. Yeah, the Kriegsmesser is really nice. I'm a big fan of that Kriegsmesser. And you can't find them anymore because they had to discontinue this particular model. It's back, but it looks different. I don't like the new one as much. I'm glad I picked up the older version. I have many lightsabers. None of them are up here, except for, wait, I have. Yes. Lightsaber.
Yeah.
What's the best longsword trainer I've found that works with most? This would be my #1 recommendation for a longsword trainer. It is the Regenier Shorty. This is my wife's sword. Wife, do you want to show your sword? Do you want to show your sword?
Sure.
There we go. Yes, you can see the difference. Because she is short.
See the difference in height.
Yes, you can. But I think if you put them,
It's about like mid sternum.
yeah. I guess I could probably still go a little bit higher to get to mid sternum.
It's like mid pectoral.
Yeah, and mine's a little, not quite there.
Did you ever name your? No, that's a new one.
I don't name them.
You didn't name any of yours?
No, I've never named them.
Espresita.
Casita. I don't name them.
Presita.
I don't.
And the
I didn't even name my
was it,
custom sword.
no. I have Presita, and then my messer. Wait, my messer? Is it my
Yes,
messer?
yes, your
My
master.
messer is named Potato because it smells like potatoes when it gets hot, and we don't know why.
Papas.
Papas.
You didn't name it potato. You named Papas.
No, it was potato, and then I was like,
Oh,
to match the language, it should be papas.
So it is
It's
actually
just
potato. So
potato.
it is actually potato.
It's just potato.
Yeah, I never named them. I also never really named my Pokemon. Yeah.
Oh, how does was that like to distance yourself? Like, no, I don't care if the
No,
Scottish dies.
I just don't. I didn't name them. I don't name Pokemon.
Oh, that seems weird. I don't
Yeah,
like that.
I don't name them.
Where's Presita going?
Wherever you want.
I didn't know if you were going to put it
After that segue,
back.
yeah, I would recommend. I suppose this is a little. Now that I've been using this one, now I'm kind of like, yeah, that is kind of short, isn't it? I've been fencing with these forever. I'm like, my gosh. Now that I'm sitting here like with them, I'm having this weird like existential moment. I'm like, golly. I still stand by it. I still stand by my recommendation because this is a lot easier to use in one hand. That's why. That's why I say that. This you can swing this thing around in one hand because Fiore wants you to be able to use like Fiore specifically. He makes a big fuss about like techniques with the sword in one hand, techniques with the sword in two hands, but it's kind of the same sword. This is too much sword to do that thing per se. You can use this in one hand. It's not fun to use it in one hand. I guess it's fun. It's not great in one hand. It doesn't. This is sized. This is shaped. It is balanced. It is a two-handed most of the time kind of sword. This is still a two-handed most of the time kind of sword, but it's much more reasonable to use this in one hand. The handle length is a big part of it. When you have a handle this long, the handle gets in your way if you try to do one-handed stuff. I can whip the blade around in one hand, but that longer handle just gets all up in your business when you're trying to use it. It'll kind of like it's swinging around behind you. It doesn't flow very well. You want a shorter handle than that. So I would say if you want one that can do anything, get a shorty. You could get, if you really want one that can do the one-handed stuff, get a mini. But then if you get a mini, it's basically just a one-handed sword with a longer handle. So you're kind of having to make a choice. And I don't think a mini is suitable for a lot other stuff. So I think a shorty. I also, again, this is my workhorse here. This is my Regenier, or my Siggy shorty. Regenier shorty, Siggy shorty. They're the same size, pretty much. This is my #1 workhorse for me. This is the one I recommend because it's cheaper and it basically works just as well as this. Earlier on in the stream, I was talking about why you would spend more money when this is good enough. This, again, has that peened cross, so it's a little more sturdy. It lasts longer. So, you know, that's kind of the choice. Do you want something that's with a bit of better finish, or do you want something a little more economy? For the record, my head instructor of my club, Ben Strickling, he has used both of these. He actually personally uses the Regenier shorty as his personal sword. He likes this more than this. This is a little bit heavier. He doesn't like that. It's also more, it's balanced closer to the hand. He likes, this is lighter, but it's balanced further out. He finds that this is the better handling of the two. I prefer the handling of this one to this one, but that's, you know, it's a personal opinion thing at that point. Oh, there's some homemade ice cream in the fridge if you want some.
What kind is that?
Vanilla. I made it earlier.
I was wondering about it. Trust me.
Mike Wallace. Maybe. I'm not the best with names. Yeah, you can have some homemade ice cream. What do I think of the basket broadsword? Depends on the basket. A lot of the baskets I dislike. I'm gonna put on a glove. I am sweaty and I don't want to have to oil a full basket. I have with me the Castile Economy Baskets hilt. This basically has everything I dislike about basket hilts. Not that this is a bad basket hilt. Just it has what I dislike about basket hilts. I don't like that bit there because it limits. I have to. This is actually not the best example because it's a very roomy basket is the kind of the problem. You can see how much like extra space I have. So I'm going to be holding it down here so I can illustrate my point. Is that it limits your ability to project the blade forward. I don't like it when a basket does that. If the basket, because that's what that bar ends up doing, is if you have that bar and it's a tight enough basket, you can't cast the point out. You're kind of like locked in. I hate that. I don't like being locked into a grip. I like, so in this case, this one's loosey-goosey enough that I can actually kind of like get it projected, which I appreciate, but it's an oversized basket, so that's why I can do it. Normally, that ends up being a real pain point for me. I don't like that. Yeah. Depending on which is sometimes intentional. We talk about how we often talk about, you know, handshake grip. You don't want to be in a hammer grip, but there are times to use a hammer grip. A hammer grip is not inherently a worse grip. It is simply a grip with different attributes. It does not project the point. It is not good for thrusts. That is not what it's good for. It's great for cutting. Fantastic for cutting. Love a hammer grip for cut. But it is not for the thrust. I have some katana. I've got 2 katana and a tachi. Tachi's technically still a katana. I don't want to get into it. Nobody fight me on that. I don't want to. I'm not in the mood to fight about it. Ugh. Take my word for it, or don't, and look it up on your own. I will say I do adore the fittings on Japanese swords. They are so pretty. I mean, look at that. It's so pretty. They're so pretty. Gorgeous things. This one's the tachi, by the way. Hence the stuff. This all comes undone. It's basically a rope belt. You wear it like this, more or less. Something kind of like, not like that. You wear it there. Not like this. It's nice though. It's always the rope work. I love the rope work on these, and the color, the ways color gets used in Japanese arms and armor. It delights me. It's my favorite weapon that I have. I'm down to 20% battery. Uh-oh. We're gonna have to wrap this up. This is my favorite because it's mine. It's my custom sword. This was supposed to be kind of like the blade ended up being too long. I guess there was a miscommunication at some point. It was not supposed to be this long. Like I was saying earlier about the blade lengths, this has a 95 centimeter blade. It's good for that generalist use, but it's less good in the one hand than getting like the Sigi Mini. My vision for this sword was for it to basically have that Sigi Mini 90 centimeter blade. I wanted it to have a blade like this, and it did not end up with that. It's not the easiest thing. There's the scabbard still, but this was supposed to have basically a one-handed blade with an extended pommel so that you could use it in 2 hands. It was going to be a one-handed sword first that can be used in 2 hands instead of a 2-handed sword that can be used in 1 hand. That was kind of what I was shooting for. This ended up having just too much blade. So it wasn't what I wanted. But in concept, this is what I want. And it still has the potential because the nice thing is that you can take material away. Adding it is harder. So it's, of the 2 ways it could have gone, it is better that I ended up with too much sword and not too little sword, because I can shrink this thing down at some point into being the smaller sword that I want it to be. But this is basically it. This is it. You've got a 2-handed handle. What I love about it is that the second handle is kind of like disguised, because I find that when you have basket hilts like this, well, half baskets. See, it's a half basket. When you have any sort of basket, if you have the handle just keep going, it tends to look really weird to me. I don't like the look of it. So what I like about this is that visually the handle stops at the end of the basket, and then the pommel's just long, which is its own kind of weird, awkward thing. But I find that this looks much nicer than the handle just extending on past that. Do I have a hole in this shirt? No. I got sidetracked. That happens. I ramble. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm done with cars.
Oh. Yeah, like Andor. I would consider it a hand and a half sword. I've done armored combat. The plushie on my armor is Hans. This is Hans. Hans. He's on the logo. He's wherever the channel logo is. I don't know. I don't have that on here. But yeah, this is Hans. He's a Robin. This one's actually closer to this. This was supposed to be a sparring version of my longsword. Again, the guard broke. I have it stuck on. I have the replacement guard stuck on a different sword right now. This is closer to the specs I wanted. You can see. Look at that. Short. I think it's I think this is a 90. I think the blade's 90. So this one's actually spec'd out like I wanted. The reason why I don't spar with this one very much, though, is that I kind of forgot to account for the fact that gloves make your hands big, and I cannot actually hold it in two hands correctly. I can hold half of it. Again, I am sweaty. I don't want to have to do. I don't want to have to oil it. So basically, the problem I run into is when I have light gloves on, I can hold this the way it's intended. I can get my hand. You're meant to basically hold the pommel as part of the handle. When I have these gloves on, no problem. If I'm wearing my actual sparring gloves, those are much bulkier. They kind of take up more space. And what I end up doing is I have to hold it like this, with only my index and middle finger actually on the pommel and my pinkies just hanging off into space. And if you've done anything with swords, you know how important the pinky is to manipulating the sword. That is a really important leverage point. If you don't have your pinky on the sword, you can't sit there and like squeeze the handle like you're supposed to. And because it's a two-handed sword grip, I can just like lead with my main hand, so I can still fence with it, but it doesn't work right. And that kind of annoys me. So I don't actually end up sparring with it very often. If I were to get a non-European or Japanese sword, so a non-Japanese and not European, yet again, easy answer, instant, right off the top, yet again. I want a yet again. I have a rapier. I have a couple rapiers. As I hunt for one. Ta-da! Get that out of the way. It's a matched rapier and dagger set, actually. This one's made by Kingston. I'll put that over there. I keep getting sidetracked. I am at like 20%. My battery's almost dead, so I think I can wrap this up in the next few minutes. Yes, this is my matched rapier and dagger, made by Kingston. These ones are sharp. I was sitting here like holding like this. I'm like, someone's gonna like nasty gram me about this. You happy now? You happy now, nasty grams? There. There. We happy? We good? Satisfied? Look, I'll even do this. Yet again. Someone else spell that in there. Type it out for someone. If I could get one buddy, pal, Nick, the Great. If I could get one Albion sword, what would I get? Buddy, it's been here all along. It's been right here. If I could get one Albion, which would I get? It'd be this one, my friend. It would be this one, the Ringek. My hands are full, but I will show you once I put these away. Assuming my battery doesn't die before I do that.
Your battery's gonna die right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's gonna die. Yeah, it's gonna die before I can get this. 1 second. I got so many swords out. If it dies, it dies. I'm getting there. Okay, here we go. Yes, if I could get one sword from Albion, it would be the Albion Ringek. This, in my opinion, is the quintessential longsword. I can think that when I think of what is a longsword, I think of this. This is what pops into my brain. It's a Type 15A blade, very, very stabby, very stabby. But still kind of a little bit of cutty, but very stabby. Really good for just Lights out. Okay, let me just see if there's anything left. Wow, that's a lot of views. Oh yeah, the Urukai are one of my. I don't personally like the sword because I think it's an ugly sword, but I think that's why it works. It's one of my personal favorite examples of a really well thought out fantasy sword. It's an incredibly designed fantasy sword. It is fantastic. It's it suits the Urukai. It's crude. It belongs. It's clearly they've clearly been hammered out en masse in droves. They are like they're black from the forge. They're just banging these things out, shoving them off, making as many of them as quickly as possible. No care for the finish. No care for how nice it is. Just make a cleaver, but there's a teeny tiny little bit of utility in it because they put the armor piercings, they put the spike on the back end so you can use it as a war pick. So like it has that spike is what elevates it. It's a cleaver, but there's that teeny tiny little bit of additional thought to how it would function and how they can use it, and that's what makes it one of the best fantasy sword designs ever. But I don't like them. They're ugly. The Cat's Bugger was also by Kingston. Oh yes, I do. I go to jousts annually. I do love some jousts. Black Fencer, no personal experience. I've been in proximity to Black Fencer swords. I've never personally used any Black Fencer sword. I am 33. The big 3-3. 33, born in 93. Yeah. My least favorite. I don't know. I don't know my least favorite melee weapon in the game, in Warframe. I'd have to look. Because that's a fun one. It's like there are a ton I don't like. I just skip over them. If I had to like look at them and be like, which one do I hate the most? I think that'd be very difficult. Also, do I have a least favorite? That's the same problem. I don't know. I have to think about it. I've played around with twirling it. My mustache. I've played with it. At one point, it was actually starting to get a little bit of a curl, but I just decided I like it being a little more cropped. So I ended up just cutting it back. I don't feel eccentric enough to go for the full twist. Though I do make sure I keep enough of it that I can sit there and idly do it because this is kind of satisfying. Anyway, do I get to use greatswords often? Not in sparring. Does sparring with the field? They're terrifying. They're scary. They're very scary. They're scary to face, and they're scary to use because you're very afraid that you're going to hurt someone. It does not. It takes very little to really hurt somebody with one of those things. Like I had a demo recently. People were asking if I use mine to spar with, and I was like, I'm especially not against people I don't spar with regularly. There's maybe like a couple people I'd be willing to do it with, but not people I've only fenced a handful of times. No, absolutely not. There's a really good video with False Edge HEMA out there somewhere where he was sparring with somebody who was using Montante, and the guy, it wasn't even a bad hit. Like the guy just kind of went for like just a leg tap. It was just he was here and she went bah, like that, just not even a full rotate, just from here. And all he did was boom, not back here, not from up here, not back, bah, like that. And it hit the inside of False Edge's thigh, and he collapsed. He just dropped on the spot. Just boom, down, gone, uncle. It takes nothing. When you have a length of steel that long, it takes nothing. Common injuries in HEMA, concussions, and broken fingers are the most common issues. So watch out for those. Broken finger here. Never. Always show my busted finger. This one, bolt's fine. This one, not so much. It was fun trying to learn how to hold pills again. I had to retrain my hand to use my next finger to hold stuff. Like if I have to like hold like coins in this hand, I cannot like see there's a hole. So if I have to hold anything small in this hand, I cannot turn it or it all falls out. But I end up instead pinching with my next finger. So yeah. Oh, I am sorry to tell you, Ramushka, my battery is about to die. It is about to die. So I'm actually wrapping up the stream. I'm terribly sorry. Here. Okay, this is it. Here we go. I need to end the stream. This is my thing. Ramushka, if you're here, you get the last question. If you want to ask a question, you get the last question. Ask a question. You get the last question before I end the stream. Money, no object. What era and type of full plate armor am I getting? Where is it? I have a picture of it. Okay, what am I doing? This. If money's no object, I'm doing this. Oh, goodness, 10% battery. Uh-oh. Yeah, don't. Yeah, you've got 10% battery left. Have I considered doing videos on ranged weapons? Oh, great. Okay. Have I considered doing videos on ranged weapons like crossbows? So, there's a dog behind me. I have ordered a crossbow. I actually ordered it years ago. Most of you probably weren't subscribed to my channel when I ordered it. I don't know. AI is to blame here. I talked to the guy. He said he had AI take over some of his management, some of his like logistical stuff like that. And the AI just kind of like took my order and went, "What order? There's no order here." So AI, thanks AI, deleted my order from his records. And he forgot about me for like 3 years, and I was emailing him periodically about it. And he's like, yeah, it's coming up. It never came up because it chucked my order out the window. Yeah, so I've been waiting for like 3 years for a crossbow that's never even been touched yet. I heard back from him finally. He is making it finally after 3 years of waiting. So when I get my crossbow, after that, yes, Ramushka, I will make videos. I will make videos about ranged weapons when I get my crossbow. So yeah, that's fun. I hope you guys have a good night. I'm gonna go have some of that homemade ice cream that I made. It's delicious, homemade recipe. It's very good. I will not be sharing it. Yeah, I hope I get a discount too. Yeah, I was gonna suggest. I'm like, if he mentions, I'm be like, yeah. So how many years? How many crossbow bolts? What is the delay ratio of bolt to time waiting? Because I know I'm gonna lose those bolts. Just give me a bolt for every quarter, every month that you have not been working on this thing, and I'll be happy. That's a lot of bolts. Anyway, hope you have a good night. I'm glad you could squeeze in just in time, Ramushka. That was a great question. Thank you.